Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Four Checks podcast. We are your Four Checks, and we've been offline for a bit. Holidays kind of gone the way, life stuff gone the way for a couple weeks, but we are back. I'd say back with a vengeance, but it's been kind of a slow couple of weeks for universes. There was one big thing that's worth talking about that we're going to open with, though. There was, 2 weekends ago, a regional in Glasgow.
Yeah,
Something like
we
that,
had
yeah.
Glasgow.
Yeah,
we had an
holiday.
ensuing non-ban list that I can't.
Yeah.
Someone
Oh.
out there expected something to happen, but
We're just going to ignore the non-ban list because it was so obvious nothing was coming after the really cool November ban list. But we had Glasgow, and Glasgow was a very surprising event for a lot of things. So does anyone have the top 8 distribution they could just call out right now?
Yeah. So we have in emplacement order, Hanji Zoe 1, Izuku Midoriya on the move, Mikasa Ackerman, Hizuru's Hope, Rodan, Giant Monster in the Sky, another Mikasa, Devil Jin, a third Mikasa, and then Mitchell Semino playing himself.
Well, I hadn't caught that Mitchell had topped with himself again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, he's playing a good symbol version that's doing,
Mass Mutant Machine, among other things.
yeah, Mass Mutant Machine. Tutor it with card I never remember the name of. Dramatic Slash, Dramatic Slash for Mutant Machine. Other Echo stuff, all the Fudge and Flare, all the cool things you can do with this character.
Oh, I didn't think about how easily he can grab momentum with Dramatic Slash for MMM.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
That's so
Yeah,
fun.
at some level, this is a number of usual suspects in perhaps surprising configurations. Hanji's death being greatly exaggerated is the first and foremost. And Mikasa converting 3 of 3 into top cuts from people who entered is surprising, certainly. But if a cynic would say, "Oh, Massive Mutant Machine, the most interesting deck is just the same old Massive Mutant Machine abuse."
I will definitely say that I unfortunately definitely owe David money now. I had said, and I keep forgetting to pay him out, so I will absolutely pay him out.
I think I remember this. Yeah,
you can clip this and send this to him. I had said that there was no world where Mikasa 4 tops by the end of the year. And not only did she top at Louisville, I believe it was.
Yes.
But that was like one top that was like, oh, you know what? That's kind of like a who would have, that's a surprise. Someone got lucky. Now we have 3 out of 3 topped in Glasgow. I got to eat my words a little bit on that. That deck is really good in a way that I didn't anticipate.
I think that for me, and y'all can bounce off this or whatever. For me, Mikasa is a good deck, a kind of a fundamentally sound deck, a deck that has a game plan, and a deck that doesn't lose easily, doesn't win, doesn't get very far ahead. It kind of just has sort of closest competitive games that are up to chance until they aren't anymore. And a deck that can pack a lot of very effective hate cards for a lot of things in the format, right? It's a death deck. And it's a death deck with good offense, with an offense that can have bursty, fast wins sometimes, but often is playing complicated, tenuous, weird game states. And I think it's even if this were it put 3 and 3 in top decks because they just outplayed everyone or whatever, which I don't think is really the case. I think it was just well positioned. They made good choices. I don't think it would be necessarily a problematic thing if Mikasa were the best deck in the format.
Yeah. Sure. No, 100%. I think with Mikasa 4, the thing that I hadn't really recognized, I think it's really interesting sometimes, you read a character on face and you don't think about the card pool that she has access to, the selection of cards. And so I'd read her and I was like, well, she's popping foundations to draw cards. That's great, but she's a 5-hander. So she's going to have a hard time building a good enough stage to have a sizable string. I had not realized that there were I think 12 copies of cards. I think it's the air AOT attack. It's dual needle lunge and it's the attack that just clear themselves from the card pool. So she just gets to do a impression of Pony that also is adding damage to everything. And I was like, oh, yeah, she can do that. I did not realize that. And I think without those cards, her negatives would start to outweigh her positives. But the fact that she can play on such low progressive just allows her to be such a strong deck.
Right. And it's in the combo of Weapon at the Ready and Dual Needle Lunge together is also just a good card combo for her.
Yeah, you're welcome, world.
Also,
I'm 100% taking credit for that one.
not super related. I mean, related to this event. Something that surprised me that I didn't even notice until I just looked at the Metaverses page. There was a Sung Jin Woo that made top 16.
Ooh.
Oh, sick. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure I saw that.
It was Falling. It looks like a Falling Titans sort of deck. I mean, it's only running 2, but it's still Sung Jin Woo playing Falling Titans.
It looks like it drew in round 1 and then kind of 4-1-1 to the draw bracket, so to say. And
right.
Certainly being in the draw bracket's a pretty good place for Sung Jin Woo.
Right. Absolutely.
Right, it means you're a little more likely to have the time to find the things compared to if you're in the Devil Jin bracket, right? But still, nonetheless,
yeah, that's cool.
4-1-2 is a good finish. It wasn't like a go 0-2 and then 4-1 the 0-2 bracket kind of finish. It was pretty legit, right?
Yeah, I mean, he cleared out the previous regional champion, Phil Birch, in the last round. Like, can't get much more legit than that.
Yeah.
I do think the Hanji deck is obviously, I think, such a surprising one because I think, at least for myself, I don't want to speak for other people, but I know at least that was the conversation from a lot of people, was that like, oh, Hanji's like kind of a dead deck now. Like, she was really riding the high of 9 Titans and how broken that card is. And she wasn't winning regionals before that. So like, can she really hold up with that card's gone? And I mean, the answer is yeah. Like, I know some people are going to pull the, international, da-da-da-da-da. I don't really care about that here because we had so many players that by American standards are highly acclaimed in this top cut, and she still managed to pull through.
I mean, Rock Barrage and Titan Pile are a hell of a card.
Yeah, they're just such good cards. And like, at the end of the day, even if she doesn't have a good backup she gets to create, like 9 Titans, she is still a character that gets to, going first, have an extra foundation for her build turn, gets to convert backups into foundations so she plays unyielding better. She still gets a lot of those things without 9 Titans existing. The thing that I think has changed about the deck, at least how I know a good number of other Hanji ones were playing her, she is relying a bit less on DR, quite a bit less on DR than she used to. Obviously with 9 Titans gone, but this version also is only at like 1 loyalty, 1 normalcy, 3 desperate struggle still, in fairness. But definitely quite a bit less of like, hey, by turn 4, I'm going to be able to DR 5 moves in a row, and you just can't.
Sorta. It is also running 4 Titans under orders, which is just a worse version of 9 Titans on defense, but it is still -3. And it doesn't care if it's lost, if it doesn't have 3 stamina to activate the ability, because it loses the stamina after the fact. So like, I don't know if I'd say that it's that much of a difference as far as DR goes, but sure, it's a little different.
I think for me, what I mean by that is like, I don't think this is a deck that on a 5 attack string can DR the first 4 moves and block 1.
That's fair.
This is one that's probably going to DR 1, maybe 2 moves in a turn in the later game, and then has to start thinking about blocking. It's a very different place for Hanji to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, notably, 4 shared memories, right? It's a big piece of this picture. The, Electus Hanjin, it's a little weird. It's sort of like, obviously, Hanj has some good words on her, and some of the backup cards have good words on them. I think I see this as a fire deck that, and a character that is a really good fit for the fire symbol. Being able to formulate an offense that, while not as explosive as it used to be, you still get, Rock Barrage into Titan Pile, Grisha's tutor another Titan Pile. You can still like formulate a real offense,
right,
without playing that many attacks even. And then it lets you, and because of the nature of Hanj, you get to run those shared memories. You get to run 4 Filled with Doubt and really shore up the like anti-meta, tech pile. You have Heroes Upbringings in the sideboard, and you can bring them in, and it's not super painful. You get to run 3 Drivens and 3 Desperate Struggles on top of your 4 difficulty foundations.
Sure.
Because of what the words on your character say.
Yeah,
so it's
and-
just a
and the
really
stamp
good fit
spots
for
are
the fire
also-
symbol.
Are also just super stacked with anti-meta stuff. The Forcing Surrenders, the Radiant Massages, that solve my problems.
Yeah.
And the 1-man Infernos. These are all cards that screw over decks.
Yeah.
And then you get to like fish these up off shared memories in your random 3-hit string you're throwing out in the mid game for whatever reason, and then play them on for free. And you're checking crazy volume of 5s. This deck's proportion of 5 checks is insanely high. I think also significantly, like, Hanji was assumed dead, right? Everyone thought, I don't have to worry about this deck, and who knows how many fewer best Balanamis shots were registered, and how many fewer just generally like cards to bully backups were registered in this tournament,
Right.
because she was assumed dead.
Is Mikasa really that excited about attacking backups? No, right? She's playing 2 damage moves and trying to just eke her way up there, right?
That is something that you mentioned is worth noting. I was looking to see what she played against that had Violent Animus shot. So there are 2 decks in top 8 that I think had Violent Animus shot running. One exclusively in the sideboard with Deku 6, and then obviously like Rodon runs 3 Violent Animus shot, but that's also in an 80 or 74 card deck, so they're a little harder to see. So like I wouldn't be surprised if you were seeing less Animus shots and that making a big difference, especially without Pony being able to sight into them, who was a big air deck that was utilizing that before. So like, yeah, I think like this was a really well thought out deck. It makes me kind of want to go back and cook with Hanji 1 again a bit more after I kind of just put her to the trash, assuming she wasn't good without 9 Titans.
I was surprised that the only 1 Falling Titans in here. I would have imagined there would end up being more. Maybe not too many more. Like, I don't know about 4Xing it or anything like that, but I'm surprised it's not like 2 main 1 board.
I'm in a camp of generally I prefer 2 Falling Titans, because then you can get in the loop of like have 1 on stage and 1 on the field, and you get to do some stuff with that. I do kind of want to seeing this deck, and the Desperate Struggles are just so hard to give up, so I'm not surprised we're staying on fire. I almost want to see us experiment with life a little bit with a Hanji 1, because that gives you access to Hunter's Ally, which would allow you to build in both the Genghis Frog that we're running now and the Hitches and the Onyankapones. There's like 3 targets that has, 2 of which I think are really, really good.
I know that's been a somewhat mainstream thing for the people playing Zeke, is play life for Hunter's Ally, and also the 0/6s with great block mods and Incredibles play.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot
combo. Yeah, I was going to say, like, that combo sure did win a regional in Louisville. So this AOT 3 season. So
absolutely. So kind of just summarizing as a whole, I'm trying to see if there's anything we didn't touch on here. I guess we didn't really touch on the Devil Jin deck very much. It is kind of your normal Devil Jin style deck. It did show that Devil Jin does not need the crazy 1 diff or 8 diff that becomes a 1 diff, teaming with the Attack Titan.
I think like the people saying like this was going to, if anyone ever said like that card being banned will kill Devil Jin, they were on copium straight up. Like it matters. It doesn't matter very much.
Right.
But yeah, Shri posted a deck pack on the trading post, so go check that out if you're interested. There is some technology in this deck, in this Devil Jin. I had not expected to see the Squid Throw, but apparently that is a piece of the Devil Jin puzzle for solving some of these like Rodan type matchups.
Which card?
Tentacle Grasp coming out of the sideboard. Yeah.
Deck, yeah. Oh, that's actually cool. No, I like that a lot.
Right? Yeah, and I'm obviously Hate Fish. Like, this is a fishy deck.
I love whenever I see Hate Fish show up. That card is such a funny card.
My local, that's like his pet card. He puts it in everything he can play it in.
But yeah, no, Devil Jin still, it performed reasonably well for a deck that's kind of in the crosshairs. If any deck was going to have people's attentions, it was going to be Devil Jin and Deku.
Right.
And they both showed up and still did fairly well. So.
Yeah, I'm very interested. So like, and this will kind of transition us over, because I'm not surprised there wasn't any ban lists in December. We did just have such a big ban list, and this is a reasonably diverse top cut, with the exception being the Mikasa 4s. But this is also the first time Mikasa 4s come out in a pretty high amount so you don't want to jump the gun and hit it like immediately just because a group of people showed up with a really cool
And
deck.
I mean, Guilty Gear is a set with a bunch of techie spam foundations
Also
in it. Like,
True,
it's gonna
very true.
have such an impact.
So it'll be very interesting in that regard to see, to kind of transition us over to Buffalo. Buffalo is going to be the last opportunity for there to be a reasonable ban list post Buffalo before Worlds. Because they're not going to do one in February, obviously. Like, it would be crazy to do one like 2 weeks before Worlds. I guess they could, but especially with no tournament in between, it wouldn't make sense. So, do you guys imagine there are going to be any more shakeups before Worlds format, or would you tell people to like start preparing like this is going to be Worlds?
Well, I mean, the first thing to say is that we have King of Fighters cards coming. So, and
Oh yeah,
And champ cards.
yeah, and some
Yeah,
volume of champ
at
cards.
least we know what those are for the most part.
True.
Yeah, and like those are.
But they are going
splashy
to
champ
impact the
cards.
format. Yeah.
Yeah.
the assets especially. I think
It's hard to. I mean, outside of a like, the MGLA shows up with their new broken combo that they found kind of thing happening. I don't know what could happen in Buffalo as like a one event result that would. I mean, Potemkin sweep top, like 4 Potemkins in top, not Potemkins, Nagos, 4 Nagos in top cuts, kind of thing, maybe.
I
think
think
Potemkin would be even more surprising.
Yes. that would be the thing that MGLA broke, right? They found a way to crack the Potemkin code.
I think the only one I could realistically see in terms of enough people playing it and converting, again, barring like a crazy off the wall.
Devil Jin, maybe, yeah.
Devil Jin, maybe. I think Deku 6 is in such a weird place. People constantly complain about Deku 6, and it keeps performing really well at these events, and it keeps dodging the list. And I think that's because Universes likes a control one-punch deck existing in the format. Like,
I don't think they do.
Then I don't know why you wouldn't have hit it.
Because well, first of all, I don't think that's what Deku is.
Okay.
Like, I think, yeah, if he has that line, he's going to take it, right? But and maybe the UK build was a little more played, more all in on this. But I think, at least I've played Mitch at least once or twice on his deck, or seen like Kevin play that list at locals or whatever. That usually what ends up happening is that deck has to get it done in like 3 hits.
Sure.
If the opponent has some kind of technology, and Guilty Gear's adding even more technology, and like, I don't know, a deck that's like playing mostly normal shaped defense aside from the flash, like drawing some cards, blocking some things, and trying to play some 12 speed for 12s over a span of a couple turns to get the kill is like not that upsetting to me.
I mean, for me, my hot take on Deku is that he's just very mid. He's just very mediocre. Like, actually good decks, how to say, right? Like, actually good decks beat the crap out of you. And Deku never does that. Deku lets you do your game and just says, I'm going to make it very hard to do your game. I'm going to have all these tricks and defenses and stuff. And at some point, I'm going to scale up. At some point, I'm going to decide to take a risk and put my neck out and play to this Bajin that I really want to connect. And if you block it, I'll have just spent 9 difficulty of cards on nothing, or on a couple momentum, I guess.
Yeah, he really wants to cruise into deadlock, and if you can punish that, then that's strong. I think the only thing that like kind of offends me about it is that if you're playing a 7-hander that's not that teched out against, like, I don't even know how many of them are running Wingnuts in any quantity at this time, but I have a distinct memory of my opponent just like turning his board sideways and sending 19 high for 19 uninteractable, and I'm just like, yeah, I guess this is what I get for playing a 7-hander, right? So like that sort, some of those particular lines against like the 7-handers that have pre-AOT health is a little annoying, but like, it's not crazy.
I think if we had a metagame with like 3 decks and Deku was one of them, that metagame would actually suck, because it wouldn't be that hard to build your Deku deck. But as many people have complained, Deku has 5 symbols, and that's 5 wealths of opportunities for attuning and choosing what you want to do. And despite the width of options, the depth of options for like chess pieces, especially of like, I have an answer for your answer for my answer for your answer, are often like he's very impoverished on those in a lot of spots. Or he like, and he has a lot of. I just have to top deck my Goblin Bolt, and then if I top deck Goblin Bolt and a Phantom Threat, then I can win. But that's like assembling the 2-card combo in your deck with no card selection, or with like a foundation that draws a card once per turn, kind of stuff.
So
And,
I think I agree with you as a whole. I think for me with Deku 6, he is such a weird deck. I don't know if I want to call him mid, because I end up being in a situation where it's like, if my deck doesn't have a plan for Deku, I don't have response speed resets and things like that, I find it's a really hard time. But the game is super manageable and the deck feels really mid when your opponent is doing things like, say, the Hanji 1 was doing in Glasgow, where it's 3 Desperate Struggles and 4 Fist Solve Problems. And now it's like, oh, I might have 3 or 4 things on board that answer Deku.
And I believe the finals also was decided by loyalty of a friend deadlock, as it were.
Yeah.
So, and like Deku does not have access to a lot of good speed resets if he wanted those to defend with. Like if I have an E commit plus 8 speed in my stage, that's incredibly hard for him to fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
He can flash everything, I guess, but
yeah, that's the flip side of it is depending on some decks, offense is going to be shaped in such a way that like the flash or like Goblin Bolt blots are going to be really devastating for them. But other decks, if you're just like Godzilla or something and you're just drawing attacks and playing him, the enhanced step's not super crucial to you, then he's like defensively, there is nothing that special about Deku. He gets the 1 flash and a card draw and whatever cards he's playing in his deck. And like, yeah, that can be potent against some decks. Against other decks, it's very average.
I think Deku is probably the most matchup dependent character right now, where like matchup, you sit down and you can go, I think I have X percentage chance of winning, and it's either really good or really bad, and it can swing kind of the gambit. So the only thing I will say, the reason I do wonder if Deku will survive to February, and I think most likely he will, because I think if they really wanted to hit him, they would have hit him in November. I don't imagine Buffalo will have a huge show.
I mean, I think we're about to get 30 cards that say reduce this attack's damage to 3 in your momentum.
Exactly.
Right. And that is obviously going to be part of their calculus here. Yeah. And on top of that, like, if he's manageable until rotation, and then does he lose heroic? He loses something with rotation, I'm sure.
He loses Phantom Threat. Off the top of my head, I know that. Chimera Kraken means he outs things worse. He loses a handful of stuff.
Yeah, he loses
his foundation quality gets a lot worse.
Yeah.
Oh, he loses Heroic Passion? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's just, it could be one of those things where like if it's stomachable until rotation, then he's going to take a step back then too. And there's I think more so it's not that they want a one-shot kill deck in the format. I don't think they especially do. I think they want there to be a good deck for the main character of the IP that got a lot of people into the game.
Valid.
And I think, to Steelbot, they want a one-shot kill deck. Like, they want people who like playing the game in a certain way to be able to play the game in a certain way. And some people don't like playing. Some people, despite playing universes, don't want to take risks. Yeah. Right? They want to maneuver and they want to accumulate advantages and they want to convert those advantages into victory. And Deku allows you to do that.
Yeah. And in a number of cases, the most surefire way to do that is to start lobbing your 9 speed for 9 bolts and be like, what are you going to do about it? You have to respect that I might follow this up something, right? So
it is really interesting to me. I will make a note, and I think it's fine. I think Deku is the only deck from last year's Worlds that has been particularly relevant up until now. Because like Ymir died. Well, died is a strong term for these. Ymir has seen substantially less play. Hanji 2 has seen substantially less play. Trying to think what else.
Pony.
Pony's now dead.
Pony got shot. Yeah.
Pony got. Rodan. I'll give you Rodan is still relevant.
I think Pony's about as dead as Ymir is. It's like it's not going to see the play rate, but I don't think it's necessarily bad.
She's in like the. Oh man, what's where is she in the kitchen? What's the kitchen metaphor? Is she's back like, in the fridge?
No, the fridge is for stuff that's just frozen cold dead.
Okay.
She's either like in the cabinet and people could take her out and play with her and not be crazy, or she's on the counter where like there's some thinking about her, but not a whole lot of known visible active work happening.
I guess we all have our individual kitchens and who's in the fridge or who's
Yeah,
in the
the kitchen metaphor is very much a perception of what we've seen in public, right? She could be in somebody's oven and we just don't know yet.
I do love when Kevin and Broberg, or not Kevin and Broberg, Kevin and Tim start on a metaphor they have clearly used for years and do not communicate to anyone else
like
what
6
the
months.
metaphor is. And you just have to pick it up from context clues.
So
Tim
it's pretty easy to figure out.
Discord, and I love it so much. And like, I hope you have a video.
So part of it's like the traditional tier. Instead of having a traditional tier list, instead like tier lists ultimately end up being more like this kitchen metaphor, where it's not really about the true theoretical what's the best version of the best decks. We never know the best version of every deck played by the best players. It's not a world that we live in. And so tier lists are often like, all right, what's like a known quantity that's known to be good? There's lists you can find on the internet that you can copy. It's a completed dish. It's served. It's out on the table. It's done. I mean, you can still, there's going to be variations on it, but like it's a known cooked dish. And then there's stuff that's in the oven where you know that there are people working on it. There's some people cooking it. They believe in it. There's some potential. We can smell it a little bit. Or it's like the Donatello's permanently in the oven these days, right? And it's probably going to come out. It could come out good. It maybe probably can come out good, but it's still cooking. And then the stuff on the counter is like people have kind of looked at it a little bit, but we haven't seen a lot of it. In the cabinet is like not really getting attention, but like you could theoretically take it out and maybe it's okay, right? Maybe you can make something with it. And if it's in the freezer, it just sucks.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the kitchen metaphor.
I like the kitchen metaphor.
Fair.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, and my favorite, I think the thing that sold me completely on it was that you had like the weekly specials or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Whatever's the flavor.
Yeah, you can add on to yeah.
So kind of let's go into Buffalo itself, just to give it some quick lip service. Are you expecting anything out of Buffalo? Are you expecting anything interesting? Are you expecting like Guilty Gear to come in stride? What are you hoping happens or expecting to happen at Buffalo? Just kind of.
I think there's going to be a lot of Guilty Brews.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know how many people are going to come in. I don't know, just because of the way the end of the season and the way the points are working. I don't know how many people are going to play a deck that they don't like to try to get points. Right. If people really enjoy playing Devil Jin, they'll show up and they'll play Devil Jin and you're just going to have to deal with it.
Right.
But if someone, I don't know how many people would be like, well, I'm just going to play this because I think it's the best deck right now and I really want it banned, but like, you know, I'll put up with it for this event to try to get my finish. I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of that. I think there's going to be a lot of, yeah, I mean, Kevin might.
And this shit.
Kevin's gonna decide his deck the morning of, possibly while driving over.
That's like part of it.
Have all his cards in the car. Yeah. But so yeah, I think there's gonna be a mix of Guilty Brews, you know, older stuff using Guilty Gear cards, people playing their favorite decks that have existed for a little while, and not a whole lot of like people playing decks that they're bored with, which doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you think is a boring deck won't show up.
Right.
But I don't know how, like, it's going to be a hard event just looking at the names that are registered for it right now, even given the size. But I don't think it's going to be because like everyone's trying to like bandwagon on the absolute best net deck off the internet.
Yeah, and I think like the best deck on the internet is off. Like once in a while we get one of those. Once in a while we get a real flavor of the month. I mean, Devil Jin was one of those for a minute. Was Godzilla ever really one of these? Or was like everyone likes Godzilla anyway? Yeah, like I think that Bridget's people are probably gonna play Bridget. Bridget's exciting.
Yeah,
and
I'm expecting Bridget. I'm expecting Nago. I'm expecting probably some Souls and Kais. People just trying to make them work.
Yeah.
None of the champ cards are legal yet. Is that right?
Correct.
Tight. If they were, there would be grossly disproportionate representation of all those. They're exciting and cool and
yeah
new.
I think a lot of people are. I think you're going to see Mark Tyner is the most Brewers deck of all time. I think you're going to see so many Mark Tyner decks, not necessarily at like a Worlds level event, but people taking them to places, trying different ideas. That deck is so cool in what it can do, just because it lets you deck build so weirdly.
Yeah, I really want to try out JJ. I don't know exactly how good that character is, just because his selection of cards is not great, given his symbols. But man, he reads so fun.
You give
JJ loses Showdown, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute tragedy.
I can bring Showdown JJ to Worlds if I want to.
He also loses after rotation. He loses Airy Smiles, right, on good.
Sure, I don't get to play both of those in the same deck. I don't care.
Yeah, JJ's character is like if I got into retro, I could see myself trying to do this in retro because there's so many action tricks you have in retro. I have really hard time being convinced to build that in standard.
Sure. I'm also just a huge drive parry believer, and I think drive parry is really cool in him.
He builds his action blocks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Block
Dude,
with drive
that's
parry as a plus
Yeah.
0, ready a foundation, build a foundation.
Ready your big speed hate guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only weird thing about him is the force destroy a face down on his E. I mean, just be really careful not to ever get caught without an action card face down.
Right.
It's very wonky to try
That's
to
really
work around.
funny.
That's kind of what's keeping me off of really thinking very hard about character. I just don't want to deal with that.
Sure, that's fair.
I want to look at every flip foundation and be like, I don't know.
I think a lot of the assets are going to be really, really good. We've talked
sure.
about in the last set of reveals, but I think the one that's Clinton's team, I think it's 2019 Worlds, is I think so cool in a lot of characters. I think building it on block and then like its ability to seal the first move and unable to clear it just immediately does a lot against decks like Mikasa and things like that. I really want to see that card show up places.
That's fair.
Noticing that it is not on UVS Ultra, trying to remind myself of what it does.
Cardboard Crusader. It's
I
in
guess
promo
it's probably
2025.
just here, right?
It's in there, Tim. It's cardboard promo
Oh,
2025.
it's in the other promo set. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Because it's already legal. Or
Well,
is it?
It's not legal. No.
Oh no, it's not legal. Which
No.
We
makes
just hadn't
it-
made that promo set yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
after rival plays
yeah.
their first attack sealed and it can't leave the card pool. I'm like, that's a good ability.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good ass ability.
Will certainly affect the metagame. And I think all these assets, I've been kind of thinking about Tyrion. Tyrion's probably due for some level of time back in the sun.
I can see that.
I want to do stuff with Darian so bad. Or Tyrion.
Yeah, I don't. Does he have any symbols where he gets to play 2 of these cards? I don't know if he does. I think he has to just play 1.
So he's Air Order, and then what's the other one?
Life.
No,
What's
he
the other
did.
asset? Oh, so he gets this on exactly life, and he gets Air Order for
Exactly.
Cardboard Crusaders. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aegis, we'll see. It's not as bizarre as some of the other two, so it hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention, but
I think it's cool.
it's gonna. I'm a little bit worried about if someone can build like an unyielding deck with this card in it. You get to unyielding and then immediately yeet something, yeet their best of the remaining 4 into their card pool,
Mm-hmm.
and then continue attacking. Perhaps
I'm gonna 4x Yeetus Arian. Holy crap!
I think Yeetus concerns me in evil attuned decks as well, because the idea of equipment heist, Yeetus deletus, remove something.
It's a good heist target.
Yeah.
It has certainly these abilities were designed in 2019, right? It largely, there's been like some tweaks to some of the details, but the core concept hasn't really changed.
Right.
And the format has developed in such a way that it's a little better than we maybe imagined it was going to be. Back when this was just like, oh, if it goes to your card pool face down, that helps Akuma, haha, right? Because Ricky played Akuma in that event.
Right.
We're just in a different world now, and now it goes down face down your card pool and it helps Bridget, maybe, haha, right? It's
It's probably its formability. I think is fine. I don't think the formability scares me that much. On paper, the enhanceability, targeted removal is just always going to be good, and like so that one just on paper has some things that scares me, and it's also targeted removal that makes it harder for your opponent to block things. Like technically,
it's like
basically,
it's stun 1/1 speed for the turn.
Yeah. So like that. Well, it's not stun one. It's target commit one, and then put in card. Like I think that is a scary enhanceability. And yeah, in an unyielding deck, it gets extra friggin' scary.
Dude, what's the
Oh,
fattest
it's on a
planet
mimic
deck
symbol. Wait,
on life or infinity?
Yeetus Deletus Mimic. Hold on.
Yeah, alternately
For
Bishop,
5
another
minutes.
one.
Yeah.
The,
Bishop, true.
Yeah.
Bishop, I like.
Yeah, the form is going to be the main thing. The form is aside from, like, you can play it in a generic deck. I could see it in a 4-check or a high difficult a deck with like a high difficulty attack of some kind that this form could help set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can play. Let's just say it's Beast Titan attacks for want of a better answer for this insanely high gift card.
Sure.
We can form Yeetus Deletus into the card pool. Then we can strategic maneuver, discard a card from our hand, get another Yeetus Deletus, put that one in our card pool. Plus 2 progressive, -6 difficulty, plus 12 damage, or plus 6 damage. It would be plus 12 if we could 9 Titans it, but
yeah,
the Woke Mafia killed that one.
I think we might be a little bit Christmas landing it, but I like the vision. I like the vision.
I mean, it's just 4x Yeetus Tarian. It's gonna be sick.
I could also see that form being useful in like equipment heist strings to make sure you get one more attack off. Because you can like build it in and then form with it if you were doing your math very on the edge.
Right.
I think it is a really good ability.
Yeah, it's tight. I mean, assets that act like foundations are always fun.
Back to Ordinary is obviously really cool. Like it's a very, very versatile and powerful ability. It'll be interesting to see if there's a deck that really utilizes it well enough.
I think this card is kind of ass.
I
hate the browbeat design space of like they can do this to cancel. Like they're just always going to do it unless you don't have action to do so, pal.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of down for this in specifically Donatello. If you're doing like the throat slitter stuff, if you're on the hand rip angle,
Yeah, true.
that's what I was gonna say.
And you're very happy to pick up Barrier Shield for 2 months. Aside from something like that, it's a little hard to think of something.
I think for me, this card is bad on 2 symbols. I think it is not very good on all. I think it's not very good on evil. Void hand rip and void actions like Barrier Shield is enough to make me want to see what it can do on void. That's the symbol I could be convinced of it on.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think. I'm not sure if I think this card is weak. I think it is evil. It's villainous.
Well, it's actually all
I don't like its
evil
vibes.
and void.
Shut up, Justin.
All right.
This is where I put the mousetrap emoji if I was in chat. Can I get some mousetrap emojis?
I don't think I have that.
I wish we had Discord emojis in Twitch.
Dude. All right, so we've got a little.
I'm glad we don't have Discord emojis in WhatsApp, or else I would be a menace in my work chat.
Yo, you found me. Oh, what channel is this for? I want to know what channel you're getting the mousetrap for.
It's Unicode. It's a real emoji.
Oh, okay.
I said emoji, not emote. Right, it's important.
Sure.
Trying to think what else we wanted to cover. So
you want my pitch on good cards?
Sure. Let's have your good card pitch. That'll cover
Let's go for it.
20 minutes.
So I mean, what makes a card good?
Okay. You want an answer?
When someone says a good card, what does that mean to you?
To me, I have a very specific definition. To me,
Excellent.
a card is, well, it's specific and vague at the same time, which is a contradiction. I know. It is a card is good when there is a deck that can be played in that competes with the higher end decks of the format, particularly a deck you could realistically see top cut where it actively wants to play that in the deck.
All right. Anyone else?
I think it's all context to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
it's
how I
because
feel.
like there's a good card in terms of you were just describing an evil card, right? There's a good card in that context, right?
Yeah.
Where like
I'm enjoying that phrase.
yeah,
recently.
yeah. It's a good card in that like its play patterns are healthy and fun and interesting, and then they add something to the game. I think the original context this came up was that someone was saying like you could be playing good attacks instead of these tension moves, and in that case, a card is good if the text on that card and perhaps its additional stats for its difficulty are better than getting a momentum token.
Right.
There's a good card in the context of is there realistic, it's Justin's like, is there a deck that definitely wants this? There's also like, this is a card that some deck might want at some point in its 3-year lifetime. If a card shows up in a deck that someone seriously believes is going to give them a good chance at an event at any point in the 3 years, is that a successful card? Is that now a good card because someone put it in as a 1x? And I mean, we're printing thousands of cards. That might even be a high bar, right? Like,
yeah.
Someone at some point, maybe they finished 40th, but they showed up trying to win, and they felt like this 2x was, these 2 cold and calculatings in the sideboard were the right fit for what we were doing that weekend, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for me, and I want to kind of to frame this as in concrete terms, this kind of occurred to me in Louisville when I was in the woods, like trying to figure out my peak deck. So I locked myself in. I have to play peak. I can't flinch out of that or whatever. But there's a lot of options for that deck. It's very wide open deck. It's very deck diverse. I mean, it's got good bones. It's got good abilities. But then how do you make the most of them, right? And I was kind of had some out there ideas about Death Rattle Peak or whatever, and eventually wrote those off because I realized that if I was going to play even like a 70 card deck, I would have to take out the Battle Aura releases to make room for the 4th Duplicitous Recollection or whatever. And I said, Battle Aura release is too good of a card for me to be cutting from my deck, given the shape of my character and the shape of the games I want to play. I want to be putting pressure on people and hitting them. And Battle Aura releases numbers are too high. It's too efficient. It's too good.
Right.
And so I think for a card to have, for me, for the useful frame is that a card has the attribute of like a good card when you have to, rather than justifying putting it in your deck, it's just the best thing to be doing a large enough fraction of the time that you actually have to justify why you're cutting it from your deck.
Right.
That it's just more efficient than cards normally should be, more efficient than the replacement options would be. And so you should put good cards in your deck. And there are certainly decks you can build that are, tightly tuned engines that don't want to play the normal good stuff, but those have to be intentionally taking them out at that point.
I think I agree with that in large part. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of how to word what you're saying. I think there is a difference between a card being contextually good and a card being something we would traditionally call a staple card. Because to me, it sounds like you're describing something pretty close to a staple.
Yeah. So I think that and it's to reinforce something that Tim said. Someone can describe a card as good for any reason, right? Yeah. I still posted a little bit that if this card makes my PP hard, that might be a good card to me, right? Like that is a valid reason to say good. Like this card has great art. Could be a good card for that reason. It doesn't have to be complicated or subtle or in any value system. It just means like good card just means it scores high on this value system. And I'm saying like for a card to like as a competitive player, I think the useful way to delineate like what that means of when we talk about just good cards in the pure sense is that's here's a useful frame for that, because again you can tell like an arbitrarily bad card can be like good for a certain purpose, but that doesn't make it useful to consider outside of that context.
There's what you might describing might be maybe not staple but like always good, right? If you put this in your deck, it's never going to be a bad idea. It might not be the best idea for that particular deck, but you're never going to be that wrong to play Battle Royale release.
Right.
Can I ask, so let me ask a question in this regard. Do you think that is a obviously as like a high level competitive player who has a natural intuitive sense of what cards are winning and losing you games, that probably feels like a good way to look at it, because you can look at Battle Royale release and be like, I'm winning so many games because I'm resolving this attack consistently enough. It's getting me massive damage. It's closing games. Cool. Do you think for newer players who maybe have less good card analysis inherent and naturally built in and have a harder time identifying why they won or lost a game, do you think that that is a productive definition of a good card?
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, I think I'm confident that this is a useful thing, so I'm presenting it as one.
Because I'm
That's
never
the
wrong.
position that I'm staking out.
Well, so what I'm hearing you ask is, how do you know when a card is good? Fundamentally, right?
Sort of.
I don't think it comes naturally to me that I just know from like knowing I'm not a giga brain that just says, oh yeah, this is the good one and that's the bad one or whatever. I think that I kind of make guesses and then try to evaluate if those guesses are true or not.
So you won worlds.
But that's getting into metaphysics at some point. Sorry.
You said you won worlds off of vibes. Got it.
I mean, I certainly built that Hanji deck off of vibes and posted a 40-minute YouTube video talking about my vibes. And then I refined the vibes when I saw other people working on it, and it gave me good ideas for like, oh, if I think Pony's the best deck in the format, how can I tweak my deck to steal the most equity from Pony? And it's like, oh yeah, Showdown Struggle Studies. Like those are really good cards that I kind of written off, and then I kind of reframed. Like I built that deck initially around Bun Collector plus Replicator Enthusiast, and I Bun Collector is like kind of a good card territory. Replicator Enthusiast is kind of like in a jank, silly card category, and I evolved on from that to like, well, Bun Collector isn't actually really doing what I want it to do, and the Replicator Enthusiast is funny but not actually effective necessarily. And so you evolve with experience, right?
Right.
We started off chasing Brobergs per minute, and then we evolved it a little bit to make it more competitive.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of, is there a deck that wants Replicator Enthusiast? Yes, absolutely. There are plenty of decks that can imagine like that. Are they the best decks? Are they necessarily competitive decks? Well, one way you can tell a good card is if it's winning a lot of tournaments. That's probably a good, like Massive Mutant Machine, Bold Claim, good card. Effective card, right?
Yeah.
And so there's kind of the top-down view of like, well, what's succeeding, which then obviously drains a lot of information out of, like, that is not necessarily a reliable signal, because a deck has to win every tournament, but there's a lot of variance and there's a lot of reasons that you can explain how a particular deck won a tournament, right? Like if I said Shared Memories is a great card because 4x of it was in the top of this winning deck, well, I don't know if that's necessarily a strong signal that you should put Shared Memories in every deck.
Right.
From the Sanji deck, or even Filled with Doubt. Like I don't know if every deck should be playing for. I'm pretty confident every deck should not be playing 4 Filled with Doubt, even though 4 Filled with Doubt just won this tournament. There's always an element of contextual analysis to this, but the top-down view is one useful starting point, and I think the bottom-up view of, well, what does the card actually do, and how much does it impact the game, and especially like how does it compare to other cards that are sort of shaped like it, right? If you have a card that is just much less efficient than another card, it's probably not a good card, because you could be playing the other version to have a better card, and cards aren't so imbalanced that you can be much worse than them and still be effective and useful and competitive, usually. And so I think that's kind of two ways you can look at it. You can say what's winning tournaments, what's succeeding, what's doing well, what are people talking about, kind of the top-down view of, what makes a card good is, or you can tell a card is good when people are excited about it and building decks around it, winning games with it, and you can tell a card is good when it's got good words on it, it's got good numbers, and it compares well to other things that are in a similar space.
That's reasonable.
And so that's what I think of answering the question of, well, how do I know a card is good? Which I think was the question you were asking.
More or less.
Yeah. Trying to think kind of with these thoughts a bit. I don't know. So I'm going to talk kind of the experiences I've had both when I was a new player and like when I've worked with new players on different card games. I'm trying to think of a UVS equivalent card, because there are here's an example I'll give. The 9/3 Colossal
The verbal
Titan,
attack? Yeah.
Colossal Titan's Destructive Power. That card wins me games.
Yeah.
Like if that card resolves, the game is over. I don't know if that is a good card to play in Smiling Titan because you're hurting your forecheck in total, you're hurting all of that. But I think because the way you gave the definition earlier that I think is like bothers me is you were like that people think about you were sitting there, you were thinking about, do you want to remove battle or release or not? And like, but I could see a new player having that misconception with a less good card. And that's where I hesitate from using good cards like that as a basis, because it kind of assumes that you are identifying the correct thing when you are feeling bad about a card or good about a card.
I think if a beginner sits down and says, hey, I really love this card, Third Wielder, I think is the +3 damage guy, right? Like all my decks are I'm gonna start with 4x Third Wielder. That's gonna be a staple for me. That's not a huge mistake. Like that's not optimal. I'm pretty sure that card doesn't go with everything, and obviously, like that would. I assume they would only build decks that give +3 speed to something at some point. But if they're like, okay, I'm only gonna build a deck that doesn't have this card, if I'm really certain I want to build a deck that can't give +3 speed, like that's not the worst mistake you can make, right? And I think that the framing of what let's call them staples, I guess, because I think that's a reasonable enough label for the thing I'm talking about. Although I think, yeah, I share with you the deep skepticism of calling things staples. I think I feel a lot of new players ask, hey, what are the staples for these symbols, or what are some staple foundations to pick up? And it's like, well, it's the wrong question. Sorry, there aren't any. Like that's not how the game works. It is necessarily contextual. I think there are a lot of decks that could play, like Mikasa doesn't play battle or release usually, ever. I don't think I've seen a single one ever play battle or release. I don't think they're wrong. I do think that the casters that were skipping sweeping daggers when that was legal were more wrong than they were. Like I think they were likely not thinking about it as hard as they should have, given the power level of sweeping daggers. But I could be mistaken on that. And I think that so. What I was going to say was that there are this construction of staples as cards that you have to justify taking out of your deck rather than cards you have to justify putting in your deck kind of doesn't necessarily assume that you have all the cards available to you, which a lot of people don't. And then also, I think immediately puts pressure on you if you think, oh, I have 30 staples, 30 cards on my list of staples. You actually can't play that many. Like that's 120 cards if you play 4x of all of them.
Sure.
And when I have battle or release, I don't want to cut a single one because I think it's more efficient than it should be, that it's more efficient than any other card will be. That's what staple a good card means in this context. And so I can't have 30 of those because now my entire deck needs to be justified before I'm not playing all of my staples. If I'm playing a 60 card deck, I have to cut half of them. And that's just not what the term means anymore. Right? There's only a handful of staples that can exist that can be the most efficient option, that can be in the good cards club. And if you really like a card like Lizard Tail Splitter, that's fine, but it's not in that presumptively included in most decks category anymore.
Sure.
It's a card you like, it's a card that you're a fan of. I think it's great to be a fan of cards but I think it's important to respect that it's important to be realistic about the cards you're enthusiastic about, right? Like I can love Hunter's Ally as much as I love Hunter's Ally, but then I build decks that don't include Hunter's Ally because I'm realistic about how good it actually is.
Okay. So I think I do kind of, I think I'm coming around on this definition. I think I see where you're really coming from on it. So let's make this a productive lesson for anybody who's watching who might be a newer player or intermediate player. So it's not just us pontificating. How would you tell a player to start perceiving their decks this way? What would you tell them to start doing to think in this direction? Start perceiving their cards this way.
I mean, this is kind of, I almost think of this as like the level of, like, this is kind of a 200 level concept, right? I think the 100 level is, or maybe the 300 level. Like level 1 is play a starter deck, right? Just don't play some games, learn the rules, learn the like basic heuristics, like learn how to judge when your opponent doesn't have a block or whatever. Like that's the important fundamental stuff. And then like the 200 is like build a deck with intention, build a deck that does something, build a deck that isn't a bad version of something else. And then once you're doing that for a while, and you're like, well, why isn't my deck any good? Well, maybe you should play some good cards in your deck. And then you can actually be a competitive. Then you're actually like trying to build competitive decks and respecting what else is out there and understanding what else is out there, and then using that to inform what the average rate of a good card actually is.
Okay.
So
This is like when people get really excited about their decks where none of their attacks come in for more than 6 damage.
Yeah.
That's like, and look at the world you're living in. Like,
spin your wheels decks are such a hard thing to tell someone. Like, yes, you have played a lot of cards and your deck has done a lot of things. What have you actually done to win the game? Like, how close have you actually gotten to winning here? Mm-hmm. And it's a really hard thing, I think, in our game in particular. It actually reminds me a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Can sometimes have this issue where you're doing so many things because, like, you feel so in control when it's happening, and then you look at the board state and it's not very good for you. You kind of sit there, and I kind of sit there and go, yeah, I don't know how to tell you your deck is performing badly, even though it looks like it's doing things.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that you look at tournament results, and if you, especially with like metaverses, you can see a lot of people are like, there's a lot of folks who have 2 draws and a reasonable, win-loss proportion otherwise. Maybe they have 1 loss, maybe they have 2 losses, whatever. But like they lose and draw against very strong players, and they beat the other a bunch of other folks in the field, and they're kind of playing like control decks, sort of, so to speak. And I think there's a lot of skills that you need to develop and to master to actually jump to the point of like topping and winning tournaments with control decks that are just very hard to develop, just because there's a lot of skills that go into it. There's a lot of like making decisions quickly kind of stuff that you just don't get challenged in, even if until you're playing with strong players, until you're playing with the Phil Birches of the world. And if you can win a control mirror with Phil Birch, then you can top 16 with Sung Jin Woo. But until that point,
all right,
it's tough out there.
We're kind of hitting our hour here. Does anyone else have any final thoughts on like good cards, bad cards? Obviously, we've let Broberg pontificate, give his Brobergisms on it. Anyone else have any final thoughts you want to share before we wrap things up?
That's just more UVS. So there's a lot of it depends.
Yeah.
I think some of this is like, if you go into a chat room and assert that something is a good card, think about whether it's going to pass the smell test on that. Unless you're just baiting, Kevin.
No, I'm not. No,
not you. Just in general, like.
No, I have the mousetrap emoji now. Like, this is my new weapon of someone's posting bait. I just mousetrap them. And it's like, we both know you're posting bait. Like, you're not. Or maybe they weren't posting bait. It just looks like they're posting bait. They were actually trying to have a conversation, and now I'm just making fun of them. And then now I'm having fun, and maybe they're having fun too. I don't know.
Hey, Broberg, you and we never get baited in any Discord argument.
I've never been baited in my life.
Exactly. Just got to think like that. Is it bait if you know it's bait and you take it willingly?
Yeah. I mean, you're still taking the bait. It's just you knew what you were getting into in that scenario.
If you see if I see the string and the hook and I still eat the worm,
right?
Do I get pulled into the boat?
Like, if the fish still eats the worm.
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
I don't think I've seen 3 now.
He makes it very clear in that movie. It's not a trap. If you go in knowing it's a trap, it's called a standoff. Very clear.
But if they still pull you into the boat, right? Like,
I think that works. I think that's the
Leia's Corvette get trapped by the tractor.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a standoff. Is maybe accepted challenge is a better word.
There you
challenge.
Go.
That's good.
Challenge.
Yeah. It's not a trap. It's a challenge I've accepted.
Right.
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap things up, y'all. Because I unfortunately have to drive down early in the morning tomorrow down to Houston. I will always take the cheese, Paul. I'm sorry to tell you that.
Bro, cheese is good.
Hey, if you guys are going, I will say if you are going to the Riftbound Regional tomorrow, I don't know if anyone is. Feel free to say hi to me if you see me there. I'm going to be sitting there doing nothing but grinding side events. So, Broberg, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm Build UVS on various platforms. I don't think I've posted anything lately, but maybe that'll change.
Tim.
Yeah, so Satonis on YouTube, CETONIS. My next video is going to be, I'm going to do the winter meta poll as soon as I stop procrastinating and make a Google poll and start sending it out. I've kind of been waiting for Guilty Gear to be in people's hands, part so that people have played with it at all, and part so that people are a little more active and awake in terms of like looking at Discords and seeing messages and answering polls and things like that. So
right.
But we'll get on that soon.
Technically I'm double mulligan, but any content creation is kind of on pause until the semester's done. I maybe will have some plans for break. There's some stuff I really want to do. It's can I keep my ADHD focused long enough to actually do the things I want to do? Tim, I don't like that doubt. I want my friends to have faith in me, but yeah, I will be posting on all the channels whenever I actually make a thing.
Okay. And as usual, I am on the YouTube channel for our VODs, youtube.com/4checkscast. We'll have this episode up on either Monday or Tuesday next week. Also, please try to remember to tune in next week because I'm going to try and run a game show for these three nerds.
Yes, we have agreed to this with no details or context, so it'll just be
there's like
whatever it is. It'll be
there's like a little bit of context in our Discord chat.
Nah, you should just totally game changers us.
Oh
Just
God,
kind of no idea what.
I mean, if you don't scroll up, it's like the same thing.
There you go. All I know is I'm gonna win next week. That's all.
Oh yeah, okay. Honestly, given the nature of the things I have lined up, I actually expect you to lose.
What?
And
you
that's
mean
only because you're
trivia challenge with 2 world champions.
Well, I was about to say it's because you are the newest player out of these.
Yeah,
Just put a bunch of
this
boomer
is a
questions in
fucking
there.
bad.
I mean, it's not a bunch, but there's certainly some
prehistoric
retro
old
questions.
heads.
What deck won Worlds 2013?
Okay, I will say that I don't think there's anything pre-Jasco in there, so
That's
there's at
Jasco
least
era.
that. I don't remember. Also, I don't think it's that type of trivia, but we'll see. I don't remember.
I'm hearing is that you are discriminating against me.
Good.
Who finished second in Worlds 2013?
I don't even know that
With
one.
what borrowed deck?
Wait, maybe I do know that one. Hold on. Oh no, I don't.
Okay,
I'm not logged into that account. No.
All right, the ADHD.
Anyway, let's get out of here.
So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna send you off to raid someone. Let's see here. Is Tam streaming right now?
Tam's doing some flesh and blood stuff, so however you feel about that. Still Tam.
We'll ship y'all over.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
I only have a PTC
Featuring
in
out, y'all.
2013.
Okay,
Have a good one.
Peace.
Yeah, I believe that